My daughter stood up at her husband's birthday party, champagne glass raised, and announced to a room full of strangers that I was the reason she almost didn't succeed in life. She said it with a smile, like it was a joke. Growing up with a father who fixes toilets for a living teaches you one thing: you never want to end up like him. The room laughed. Her husband, Derek, laughed the loudest. I didn't laugh. I didn't flinch. I just sat there in my old flannel shirt holding a glass of water, and I smiled, because I wasn't embarrassed. I was done. They had no idea what they had just set in motion. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know in the comments where you're listening from. And if you've ever been disrespected by the people you sacrificed everything for, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story will remind you that silence is not weakness. It is patience. And patience always wins. My name is Walter Greer. I am 67 years old, and for the last 30 years, every person in my life has believed I am a plumber. A good plumber, sure. Reliable, honest. The kind of man who shows up on time, fixes your leak, shakes your hand, and drives away in a dented white work van with Greer and Sons Plumbing painted on the side in faded blue letters. That is the man my daughter Nicole grew up watching. That is the man she learned to be ashamed of. The party was at Derek's place. Well, Derek and Nicole's place, a ridiculous glass and concrete house perched on a hill in Scottsdale, Arizona. The kind of house that looks like it was designed by someone who hates furniture. Everything was white. The floors, the walls, the couches. Even the dog was white. A tiny, nervous thing that trembled every time someone walked by. Derek had turned 40. To celebrate, he had invited approximately 80 of his closest business associates, none of whom, I suspected, actually liked him. They were all there for the free champagne, the catered sushi, and the chance to be seen at the home of Derek Ashford, self-proclaimed king of luxury real estate in the Southwest. I arrived in my work van. I had come straight from a job site, or at least that's what they believed. My boots were dusty. My jeans had a smear of grease on the knee. My flannel shirt was rolled to the elbows. I looked exactly like what they expected me to look, like a working man who didn't belong. Nicole met me at the door. She was wearing a silver dress that probably cost more than my van. Her smile was tight, controlled, the kind of smile a woman gives when she's already decided to be embarrassed but is trying to hide it. "Dad, you made it." Her eyes did a quick scan of my outfit. I watched the disappointment settle into her jaw. "You came straight from work?" "Had a job in Tempe. Emergency pipe burst. Couldn't leave the family without water." "Right," she said. "Of course." She glanced over her shoulder at the gleaming crowd behind her. "Maybe just stay near the back? Derek's partners are here. It's a business thing too, you know." "I'll be invisible," I said. And I meant it. I had been invisible for 30 years. One more night wouldn't kill me. I found a spot near the kitchen, away from the crowd. A young bartender, a college kid with kind eyes, handed me a glass of water without me asking. He could tell I wasn't a champagne man, or maybe he could just tell I didn't belong. Either way, I thanked him, and I watched. I watched Derek work the room. He was good at it. I'll give him that. Tall, square jaw, teeth so white they looked painted. He wore a slim navy blazer with no tie, the universal uniform of men who want to look rich and relaxed at the same time. He laughed too loud, touched too many shoulders, made too much eye contact. Every sentence out of his mouth started with I or ended with a number. I just closed on a $12 million listing in Paradise Valley. I just got back from Turks and Caicos. I'm looking at a 40-unit development in Sedona. He was performing, and the audience was buying it. Then came the toast. Nicole clinked a fork against her glass, and the room went quiet. She stood next to Derek, her arm linked through his, and she glowed. She was beautiful. She had her mother's face, sharp and elegant, and her mother's ambition, which was both a gift and a curse. "I want to say a few words about this incredible man," she began, and the room hummed with approval. Derek Ashford didn't come from money. He built everything from scratch. He taught me that success isn't inherited, it's earned. And I know that better than anyone. She paused. Her eyes found me in the back of the room. I thought for one brief, stupid moment that she was about to say something kind about me. about the man who raised her alone after her mother left, about the man who worked double shifts so she could go to college, about the man who drove 6 hours round trip every weekend to watch her play volleyball in Tucson. Growing up, she continued, and her voice took on that rehearsed podcast smooth cadence. I didn't have role models for success. My father is a plumber. She let the word land. A few people shifted uncomfortably. He's a good man, don't get me wrong. He works hard. But growing up watching someone who never wanted more, who was content to fix other people's problems instead of building something of his own, that taught me what I didn't want. It taught me to reach higher. A few awkward laughs. A few sympathetic nods. Derek jumped in, his arms squeezing Nicole's waist. And that's why she married me, right? Upgraded from copper pipes to copper rooftops. He grinned at the crowd. No offense, Walt. The room laughed. Really laughed. I was the punchline. Nicole didn't correct him. She didn't defend me. She just smiled that tight practice smile and raised her glass. To Derek, the man who showed me what winning looks like. I sat there in the silence that followed the toast, holding my water, feeling 80 pairs of eyes glance at me and then look away with the particular speed reserved for things that make people uncomfortable. I was the cautionary tale. I was the before picture. I was the reason Nicole's success story had emotional weight. I finished my water. I set the glass down on the counter. I stood up and I left. No scene, no confrontation. I just walked through the kitchen, out the side door, and into the Arizona night. The air was dry and warm, and the sky was enormous and full of stars, the way it only gets in the desert. Behind me, through the glass walls, I could see the party continuing. No one had noticed I was gone. That was fine. They had been not noticing me for 30 years. I walked past the rows of German SUVs and Italian sports cars lining the driveway. My white work van sat at the very end, deliberately parked away from the expensive vehicles, as Nicole had once asked me to do. I didn't get in the van. Instead, I walked past it, around the corner of the property wall, to a dark side street where a single vehicle was parked beneath a mesquite tree. It was a matte black Mercedes-AMG G63, custom interior, cashmere leather. It cost more than Derek's house, though he would never know it. I pressed the key fob. The cabin lights glowed softly. I got in, and the door closed with that heavy, vault-like sound that only truly expensive things make. I pulled out of the side street, drove past the party, and headed north toward the dark silhouette of Camelback Mountain. I didn't drive to a plumber's house. I drove to a private gate tucked into the mountainside, a gate with no address marker, no name, just a security camera and a biometric scanner. I pressed my thumb to the pad. The iron gate swung open without a sound, revealing a long, curved driveway lined with desert willow trees. The house at the top was built directly into the rock face. It was 11,000 square feet of hand-cut stone, floor-to-ceiling glass, and silent engineering. The infinity pool wrapped around the eastern edge, reflecting the lights of Phoenix sprawling below like a circuit board. My architect had called it a house that listens to the mountain. I just called it home. I walked through the front door. The motion sensors recognized my gate and softly illuminated the hallway. The walls held 3 original paintings I had purchased quietly at auction over the last decade. The floors were polished concrete, smooth and cool beneath my boots. In the main room, a Steinway concert grand piano sat by the window, its black surface reflecting the city lights. I had learned to play at 62. I thought you needed a hobby that wasn't making other people rich, because that's what I had been doing for 40 years, making other people rich. Here is the truth about Walter Greer, the plumber. In 1986, I was 27 years old. I had just started my plumbing business with a borrowed truck and $400. I was good with my hands, but I was better with numbers. Within 2 years, I had 6 trucks and 20 employees. Within 5, I had contracts with every major construction company in the Phoenix metro area. But plumbing was never the money. Plumbing was the cover. In 1991, I noticed something. Every commercial building I worked on, every strip mall, every office complex, I was always the first one in and the last one out. I saw things the developers never saw. I saw which neighborhoods were growing. I saw which intersections were about to get traffic lights. I saw where the water lines were being extended, which meant I saw where the city was heading 5 years before anyone else did. So I started buying land, quietly, through a trust. My friend and attorney, Ray Castellano, helped me set up. I used a name that meant nothing to anyone, Copper Creek Holdings. No website, no office, just a P.O. box and Ray's signature. I bought my first parcel for $18,000 in 1992, a dusty half-acre lot off the I-17 that everyone said was worthless. 2 years later, the city rezoned it commercial. I sold it for $340,000. I took every penny of that profit and bought more land, and more, and more. By 2005, Copper Creek Holdings owned over 200 parcels across Maricopa County. Strip malls, gas stations, medical office parks, storage facilities, the boring, ugly, invisible infrastructure of a growing city. No one cares who owns the building their dentist is in. That's exactly why it's so profitable. By 2010, I was worth north of $60 million. Today, at 67, the portfolio generates just over $9 million a year in passive rental income. That number goes up every year because Phoenix never stops growing, and Walter Greer never stops buying. But no one knows. Not Nicole, not Derek, not a single person at that party. They see the work van, they see the flannel, they see the calloused hands, they see exactly what I want them to see. I did this on purpose. I did it because of what happened to Nicole's mother. Ellen, my ex-wife, grew up poor, truly poor. Not I didn't have cable poor, but sleeping in the car poor. When I started making real money in the late 90s, I made the mistake of showing it. I bought a nicer house, a new truck. I took Ellen to restaurants we couldn't have dreamed of 5 years earlier, and I watched it change her. The money didn't make her happy. It made her hungry. And the more she had, the more she wanted, and the angrier she got when the wanting never stopped. She left in 2002. Nicole was 14. Ellen took the settlement, married a man in San Diego who sold boats, and never looked back. She died in 2019. We hadn't spoken in years. After Ellen left, I swore I would never let money ruin another person I loved. So when Nicole asked me why Mommy left, I didn't say because she became addicted to a life she didn't earn. I said, sometimes people just grow apart, sweetheart. And I packed the money away. I sold the nice house. I moved back into a modest 3-bedroom in Mesa. I kept driving the work van. I kept wearing the flannel. And I let my daughter believe her father was just a plumber. I thought it would protect her. I thought if she didn't know about the money, she would learn to build her own life. She would develop grit. She would never become her mother. I was wrong. She didn't become her mother. She became something worse. She became someone who measured every human being by what they had, and she placed me at the very bottom. My silence didn't teach her grit. It taught her contempt. The morning after the party, I sat in my home office. The sun was rising over the valley, painting the mountains gold and pink. I had slept 3 hours, not from anger, but from clarity. The kind of sharp, cold clarity that comes when you finally see a situation for what it truly is, and you accept that the only path forward is through the fire. I called Ray. He picked up on the second ring. I watched the party from the security cameras Nicole doesn't know about, Ray said before I could speak. He had installed them in Nicole's house 2 years ago, during a renovation I had secretly funded. I saw the toast. I heard what she said. Then you know why I'm calling. I do. And I've been preparing for this conversation for about 5 years. Ray Castellano was not just my lawyer. He was my oldest friend, the only person on earth who knew the full architecture of my hidden life. He had managed Copper Creek Holdings since day one. He had set up every shell company, every trust, every lease agreement that quietly propped up Nicole and Derek's existence. Walk me through everything, I said. Ray's voice shifted into the calm, precise tone of a man reviewing a balance sheet. The house. Nicole and Derek's home in Scottsdale. They believe they purchased it 3 years ago with Derek's commission savings and a conventional mortgage. In reality, the down payment of $280,000 was a gift routed through a phantom seller's credit at closing, funded by Copper Creek. The mortgage itself is held by Southwest Desert Capital, which is a subsidiary of Copper Creek. They are making payments to you, Walter. They just don't know it. What about Derek's business? Derek Ashford Luxury Realty. His flagship listing, the one he won't shut up about, the $12 million estate in Paradise Valley. That property is owned by Copper Creek Holdings through a Delaware LLC. I gave Derek the exclusive listing as a favor to you. His commission on that sale, if it closes, would be $360,000, the largest payday of his career. A career that, I should note, has been artificially inflated by at least 6 Copper Creek properties I've quietly funneled to his agency over the past 4 years. I closed my eyes. The cars. Derek leases a Porsche Cayenne and Nicole drives a Range Rover. Both leases are guaranteed by Copper Creek through a fleet management company. They believe they qualified on their own credit. They did not. Derek's actual credit score, without your backing, is 582. He has over $90,000 in credit card debt he's hiding from Nicole. $90,000? Gambling. Online poker mostly. He's been hemorrhaging money for 2 years. The only reason he hasn't collapsed is because the Copper Creek listings keep throwing him just enough commission to stay afloat. Without those listings, his agency has 0 revenue. He has no other clients of substance. I sat with that for a moment. My daughter's winner. My daughter's upgrade from copper pipes. A gambling addict swimming in secret debt, propped up entirely by the plumber he mocked at his own birthday party. Ray, I said, shut it all down. There was no pause, no hesitation. All of it? All of it. Start with the Paradise Valley listing. Pull it from his agency, today. That will destroy his quarter. Good. Then pull every other Copper Creek listing from his books. I want his portfolio empty by Friday. Done. The vehicles? Terminate the guarantees. Both of them. I want recovery teams at their house by Thursday morning. Early. Before the sun comes up. The mortgage? Call the note due. The loan agreement has an acceleration clause for non-payment. They missed last month's payment. They're always late. Nicole's told me twice she had to remind Derek. Use it. 30-day notice of default? If they can't pay the full balance, we begin foreclosure. Ray exhaled slowly. Walter, the full balance on that mortgage is $1.2 million. They don't have $1,200, let alone $1.2 million. I know. This will make them homeless. No, Ray. This will make them honest. There's a difference. And the monthly support? Ah, yes. The monthly support. The final, most damning thread. 3 years ago, Derek's agency had a terrible quarter. He came to Nicole in a panic. Nicole came to me, standing in my Mesa kitchen, tears in her eyes, telling me they might lose the house. I should have said no. I should have said, you married a winner, remember? Winners figure it out. But she was my daughter, and she was crying. So I invented a story. I told her that her grandmother, my mother, who had died with nothing but a paid-off double-wide and a Bible, had left a small education trust for Nicole. A delayed inheritance, I called it. For the past 36 months, Ray had been wiring $5,000 on the 15th of every month into Nicole's personal checking account. She called it her safety net. Derek called it old family money. Together they spent it on brunches, Botox, and the illusion that they were richer than they were. Terminate the trust, I said, effective immediately. I want the next scheduled wire to bounce. Understood. Is there anything else? I looked at the photograph on my desk. Nicole, 9 years old, sitting on my shoulders at the Grand Canyon. Her face was pure joy. Mine was pure love. 2 people who hadn't learned yet how to fail each other. One more thing, I said. Find out everything you can about Derek's gambling debts. Who he owes. How much. I want to know who's circling. You think someone's going to come collecting? I think when the money disappears, a lot of things that were hiding in the dark are going to come into the light. I'll have a full report by tomorrow. Thank you, Ray. Walter. One question. Go ahead. Are you sure? Once I pull the trigger on all of this, there's no putting it back. She'll know. She'll know everything. There's no version of this where your secret survives. I looked out at the valley. The city was waking up. Somewhere down there, my daughter was asleep in a house I owned, next to a man I funded, dreaming of a life I built, and she thought I was a loser. Let it burn, Ray. She wanted to see what a real builder does. Let her watch one tear something down. It took exactly 4 days for Nicole and Derek's world to collapse. On Tuesday, Derek walked into his office expecting to finalize the Paradise Valley listing. Instead, he found an email from the property management company informing him that the seller had terminated the exclusive listing agreement, effective immediately, and had engaged a different agency. His $360,000 commission vanished before he'd had his morning coffee. By noon, 3 more listings had been pulled. By 5 o'clock, his entire active inventory was gone. His agency, Derek Ashford Luxury Realty, had 0 properties, 0 revenue, 0 future. He sat in his empty office staring at a blank computer screen, trying to understand how 6 clients could all fire him on the same day. On Wednesday, at 5:15 in the morning, Nicole was woken by a sound she didn't recognize, the low mechanical groan of a flatbed tow truck backing into their driveway. She stumbled to the window and watched in horror as 2 men in reflective vests loaded Derek's Porsche Cayenne onto the truck. She ran outside screaming. They handed her a single sheet of paper. Vehicle repossession. Corporate guarantee terminated. Derek came out in his boxers, shouting threats, demanding badge numbers. The men didn't care. They were professionals. They'd done this 1,000 times. By the time he called his leasing company, they had already dispatched a second truck. The Range Rover was gone by 7. On Thursday, Nicole opened her banking app to transfer money for groceries. She stared at the screen. Her checking account, the one that always had at least $5,000 in it, showed a balance of $31.16. She refreshed. She closed the app and reopened it. She called the bank. A polite customer service representative informed her that the recurring deposit from the Greer Family Education Trust had been permanently discontinued as of yesterday, per the sole trustee's instructions. "Who is the trustee?" Nicole demanded. "I'm sorry, ma'am. That information is confidential." She hung up and sat on the edge of her bed, staring at nothing. On Friday, the letter arrived. It came by certified mail, delivered by a process server who rang the doorbell and asked Derek to confirm his identity before handing him the envelope. Derek opened it in the kitchen, his hands already shaking. Notice of default and acceleration of mortgage. The lender, Southwest Desert Capital, was calling the full balance of the loan due within 30 days. Failure to pay would result in foreclosure proceedings. The amount owed, $1,178,000. Nicole read it over his shoulder. "What is Southwest Desert Capital?" she asked. "I thought our mortgage was with First National." Derek said nothing, because Derek didn't know either. By Saturday, exactly 1 week after the birthday party, Nicole and Derek were sitting in their beautiful, doomed house, surrounded by white furniture. They couldn't move, and white walls that suddenly felt like a cage. No cars, no income, no savings, and a $1.2 million bill they couldn't pay. Nicole called me 6 times on Saturday. I let every call go to voicemail. She needed to sit in this. She needed to feel the weight. She needed to understand what free fall actually feels like when there's no net below. On Sunday morning, my phone rang again. This time, it wasn't Nicole. It was Derek. His voice was different. Gone was the smooth, confident real estate baritone. This was the voice of a man who hadn't slept, hadn't eaten, and was drowning. Walter, please? I know things have been. Look, I know the party was. I need to talk to you. Something is happening. Everything is falling apart. The listings, the cars, the mortgage, Nicole's trust fund, it's all gone. All of it. In 1 week. This can't be a coincidence. Someone is doing this to us. Someone is targeting our family. I held the phone to my ear. I let the silence stretch until I could hear his breathing quicken. "That sounds terrible, Derek," I said. My voice was quiet, steady, almost kind. "But I'm not sure what you want me to do about it. I'm just a plumber. I fix pipes. I don't know anything about mortgages and listings and trust funds. That's winter stuff. Way above my pay grade. Walt, please, this is serious. We could lose the house. We could lose everything. You should call one of your business partners. The ones from the party. The ones who laughed at the copper pipes joke. I'm sure they'd love to help. Walt, or better yet, call your banker. The one who handles your online poker account. Maybe he can extend you a line of credit." Dead silence. The kind of silence that sounds like a heart stopping. How? Derek whispered. How do you know about that? About what, Derek? The $92,000 in gambling debts? The cash advances from 3 different credit cards? The fact that you've been losing $5,000 a month at virtual poker tables while telling my daughter you were working late? His breathing stopped entirely. Who told you? His voice was barely audible. Nobody told me, Derek. I found out the way I find out everything, quietly. While everyone was busy not paying attention to the plumber. Walt, I can explain. You can't explain anything to me, but you're going to have to explain it to Nicole. And you're going to have to do it soon, because in about 72 hours, your wife is going to be standing in front of a judge at a foreclosure hearing, and she's going to learn that the house she thought was hers is actually owned by a company she's never heard of. And when she asks who owns that company, the answer is going to change her life. I hung up. I set the phone on my desk. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the Sonoran Desert stretched out below me, vast and ancient, and indifferent to the small fires of human vanity. The call from Nicole came Monday morning at 7. I was in my home gym, which overlooked the pool in the valley beyond. I let it ring 4 times, then picked up. Dad! Her voice was raw. She had been crying. Recently and hard, Derek told me. About the gambling, about the debt, about all of it. We had a fight, a real one. He's sleeping at his office, on the floor, in his office that has no listings. I'm sorry to hear that, Nicole. Dad, I need help. I know I don't deserve it. I know what I said at the party was awful. I know I've been terrible to you. But I'm scared. I'm really, really scared. We have nothing. I checked every account. We're broke. Worse than broke. And this mortgage company, this Southwest Desert Capital, they're going to take the house in 30 days, Dad. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know, sweetheart. Have you tried calling your mother's family? Mom's family hasn't spoken to me since the funeral. You know that. What about your friends? The ones from the party? She laughed. It was a bitter, cracked, awful sound. They're Derek's friends. They're not returning my calls. That's how it works, Nicole. The friends of the money leave when the money does. There was a long pause. I could hear her struggling to breathe. Dad, can I come stay with you just for a little while? Just until I figure this out? Your house in Mesa. The spare bedroom. I can sleep on the couch. I don't care. I need somewhere safe. You want to come live with the plumber? The silence that followed was heavier than stone. I deserved that, she whispered. Yes, you did. Dad, please. I know you don't have much. I know the house isn't fancy. I don't care anymore. I don't care about any of it. I just need my dad. I closed my eyes. For 30 years I had been waiting to hear those words. Not I need your money. Not I need your help. I need my dad. But I wasn't done. Not yet. There was one more revelation she needed to survive. Come to this address, I said, and I gave her the location of the mountain house, not the Mesa house. Come tonight, 7 o'clock. Come alone. What? What address is that? That's Camelback. Dad, that's 7 o'clock, Nicole. Don't be late. She arrived in an Uber at exactly 7. I watched her on the security monitor as she stepped out of the car and stood at the gate, staring. The iron gate, the biometric scanner, the long driveway disappearing into the mountainside. She looked at her phone, checked the address, looked at the gate again. She pressed the intercom button. Hello? I think I have the wrong address. I'm looking for Walter Greer? I pressed the button on my desk. Come in, Nicole. The gate opened. She walked up the driveway slowly, her head turning left and right, trying to make sense of the desert willow trees, the landscape lighting embedded in the rock walls, the sheer scale of the property. When she reached the front door, I opened it myself. I was not wearing flannel. I was wearing a simple black cashmere sweater, dark slacks, and handmade leather shoes. Nothing flashy, nothing loud, just quality so deep it whispered instead of shouted. She stared at me. Then she looked past me into the house. The polished concrete floors, the paintings, the Steinway, the vast wall of glass overlooking the entire Phoenix Valley, 10 million lights glittering below us like a fallen galaxy. Dad? The word came out small, confused, frightened. Come inside, Nicole. She stepped through the door like someone entering a church or a dream. Her eyes moved across the room, touching everything, the furniture, the art, the architecture, and finding nothing that made sense. Whose house is this? Mine. That's not. Dad, you live in Mesa. You drive a work van. I also own 214 commercial properties across Maricopa County, a holding company called Copper Creek Holdings, and a rental portfolio that generates just over $9 million a year. I've been a plumber for 30 years, Nicole, but I haven't needed to be one for about 25 of them. I kept going because I like the work, and because I didn't want you to know. She sat down. She didn't choose a seat. Her legs simply gave out and she dropped onto the nearest surface, which happened to be a hand-stitched Italian leather ottoman that cost $8,000. That's not possible, she said, but her voice said she already knew it was. The house in Scottsdale, I continued, my voice calm and even. Your house. The mortgage is held by Southwest Desert Capital. That's a subsidiary of Copper Creek Holdings, which means your mortgage is held by me. The down payment you used to buy that house was routed through the closing process by my attorney. You've been making payments to me for 3 years. Her hand went to her mouth. Derek's listings, the Paradise Valley Estate, the townhomes in Tempe, the office park in Chandler, all owned by Copper Creek, all given to Derek's agency as a favor to me by my attorney. Without those listings, Derek has no business. He never did. Stop, she whispered. The trust fund. Your grandmother didn't leave you anything, Nicole. My mother died with $1,100 in a savings account and a stack of overdue medical bills. The $5,000 a month came from me. Every penny. For 3 years. Please stop. The cars, both guaranteed by Copper Creek, pulled this week. She was shaking, not crying, not yet. Just shaking. Like someone standing in an earthquake, waiting for the ground to decide whether it was going to open up and swallow her whole. Why? She finally asked. And to her credit, it was the right question. Why did you hide all of this? I sat down across from her. I didn't reach for her hand. I didn't offer comfort. Not yet. Because of your mother. When your mother got a taste of money, it ate her alive. She stopped seeing me and started seeing a bank account. She stopped loving our life and started hating it for not being bigger. I watched money turn a good woman into a stranger, and then I watched that stranger walk out the door. Nicole's eyes filled with tears. When she left, you were 14, and you were already so much like her, Nicole. Beautiful, ambitious, hungry. I was terrified. I was terrified that if you knew about the money, it would consume you the way it consumed her. So I hid it. I buried it so deep that even my own daughter would look at me and see nothing but a plumber. I thought if you believed I had nothing, you would build something real on your own, something earned, something that couldn't be taken away. And instead, she said, her voice cracking, I became someone who looks down on you. Yes, the tears came then. Not the pretty, controlled tears of a woman who cries to manipulate. These were ugly, raw, heaving sobs that shook her whole body. She slid off the ottoman and onto the floor, sitting on the polished concrete with her arms around her knees, and she cried the way she hadn't cried since she was a child. I called you a toilet fixer in front of 80 people, she said between sobs. I told them you were the reason I almost failed. I let Derek make jokes about you. I asked you to park your van out of sight. I was so ashamed of you. And this whole time I was the one paying for everything. Yes. Oh God, Dad. I let her cry. She needed this. She needed the full weight of it. Not as punishment, but as medicine. You cannot heal a wound you refuse to look at. After a long time, she looked up at me. Her mascara was ruined. Her silver dress confidence was gone. She was just a 38-year-old woman sitting on the floor looking at her father with eyes that were finally clear. What happens now? She asked. That depends on you. The house. The mortgage. Are you going to? I haven't decided. But you should know something first. Derek owes $92,000 in gambling debts. Some of that money is owed to people who don't send polite letters. He's been hiding this from you since before you were married. Your winner, Nicole. The man who was supposed to be the upgrade from the plumber. He's an addict and a liar who was surviving entirely on my charity. She stared at the floor. She nodded slowly, absorbing what she already half knew. I want to earn it back, she said quietly. Earn what back? Your respect. Your trust. I don't want your money, Dad. I don't. I want. I want to be someone you're proud of. I haven't been that person. I want to try. I looked at my daughter. I looked for Ellen in her eyes. And for the first time in 20 years, I didn't see her. I saw something else. I saw a woman who had just hit the bottom and was choosing, in this moment, to look up instead of looking for someone else to blame. Okay, I said. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop the foreclosure. I'm going to give you 6 months in that house, rent-free, while you get on your feet. Not Derek. You. If you want to stay married to him, that's your choice. But he solves his own problems. No more Copper Creek listings. No more phantom commissions. He either becomes a real agent, or he finds another career. She nodded. The trust fund is over. The cars are gone. You'll need to buy your own. Something you can actually afford. I'll help you find work. Real work. Not the influencer branding thing Derek talked you into. You have a degree in business administration. Use it. Okay. And Nicole. Yes? You're going to come here every Sunday. To this house. You're going to sit at that table and eat dinner with your father. And you are going to see me. Not the plumber. Not the loser. Not the before picture. Me. She broke again. She crawled across the floor and put her arms around my legs and held on like she was 9 years old again, sitting on my shoulders at the Grand Canyon, trusting me completely. I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I put my hand on her head. I held it there. And for the first time in 30 years, I let myself feel the weight of what I had carried. I know, sweetheart. I looked out at the valley. 10 million lights. 10 million lives. And this one small, broken, beautiful life in my arms, finally coming home. The lesson I learned is simple, and I'll carry it to my grave. You cannot protect someone from the world by lying to them. I thought my silence would make my daughter strong. Instead, it made her blind. She couldn't value what she couldn't see, and she couldn't see me because I was hiding. But here's the deeper truth, the one that took me 67 years to understand. The people who mock you for having nothing are not always cruel. Sometimes they are simply lost. They have been taught by a broken world that worth is measured in watches and addresses and job titles. They have been taught that love is a luxury only the successful deserve. My daughter didn't hate me. She hated the poverty she thought I represented because she was terrified it would consume her the way it consumed her mother. Her cruelty was just fear wearing a mask. If someone in your life has ever made you feel small for being simple, for being quiet, for working with your hands instead of your mouth, remember this: the loudest person in the room is almost never the most powerful, and the person they are laughing at might just be the one holding the keys to everything they have. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. And if you've been underestimated by the people who should know you best, share your story in the comments. I read every one.